What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. We are joined by Coach Stephen Edwards, a.k.a. Breadman. Coach, man, how are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're good. Happy to have you here in the building. Obviously, you have a huge assignment, taking on, I guess, the lead role for the trainer for Caleb Plant. And the reason I guess I call it huge is because he's such a high-profile fighter coming off of that Canelo fight, and everyone's going to want to see what happens next. So how easy of a decision was it for you to make?
We worked out 3 times. I came to Vegas, I think in April for about a week. We worked out. Then he came to Philly twice. He was pretty honest with me. He told me there was other candidates for the job. And, I don't lobby for jobs, as a trainer, I've never asked a fighter to train them. So when I got word that he went, that he was looking for a new coach and he was, considering me, we've always been cool because I've had guys with PBC and he signed with PBC right away. So when you see guys at the fights and y'all in the hotel lobbies and you sharing cards together, you form a relationship. And I kind of knew when he decided to come out to Philly that I probably would be his choice. And, he told me where camp would be, and I told him, I can give you 8 weeks, and I got to go home every other weekend to see my kids. I can't go 2 months without seeing my kids.
8 weeks and then go home?
No,
or?
What I'm saying is I could go away for 8 weeks for the camp because I live in Philadelphia and the camp is in Vegas. So the only thing I told him, I said, look, on every other weekend, I'll fly out on my own buck, but I got to go see my kids. I'm not going to go, 2 months without seeing my children. And he was cool with that. He understood it. So, every other Friday night, I'll go home till Monday morning. And that's it.
Wow.
We didn't have no other issues, It was pretty easy, I'm not a diva. I'm a minimalist. I don't need a lot, So I just said, look, I got other guys that got fights. Their assistant trainers can handle everything, but I can't abandon them. So if I go home to see their fights on the weekends or my kids, that's like the only small thing that I gotta have a little bit of leverage with. And him and his wife, they're great people. They were cool with it, and that was it.
And typically, do you not train on weekends, or are you eliminating a day to make it convenient for the two of you?
Sometimes, when a fighter wants access to you, he might want to shake out on the Saturday or do certain things on the Saturday. And I'm available. It's just that every other weekend I got to leave, I couldn't imagine not seeing. I got a 10 and 11-year-old. I'm active in their life. I can't go 2 months without seeing my children. You know what I'm saying? No, nothing come before that. So.
And aren't your kids like track stars from what I?
Yeah, they play sports. My son, he played football, basketball, track. My daughter runs track, and she plays volleyball and basketball. So. I'm sure you got kids nesting. Certain things you just can't get back as far as time with your kids. Mm-hmm. So any fighter got to understand that. And he was cool with it. You know what I mean? I just was like up front, like it's going to be some weekends I got to go home, like I want to see my son football games, little stuff like that. That may not be important to other people, but that's important to me, So other than that, it was an easy deal to make. And, it was no it wasn't a bunch of haggling and I need this and I need that. I ain't like that.
Now, what about Anthony Dirrell saying nobody in the industry likes him? You said you knew Caleb before he reached out. Did you guys have a lot of interactions? Did you converse? Did you dislike? Did you not think anything of him? Do you see what Anthony is saying, but it doesn't resonate with you? Like, what about that statement?
Anthony and Caleb, they have like personal issues that I don't want to get into. That's way, I'm 46, man. They young guys. They got their little thing going. I actually like them both. I've been around Anthony for years. Even when he was with Gary Shaw, that was the first promotional company that Julian Williams was with, was Gary Shaw. So Anthony was a older, more established fighter. So we would be on his undercards. And Caleb, I like Caleb, but you got to understand something, Ness. He's speaking from a fighter's perspective. They're in the same weight division. They got personal issues that, they're not talking about, outside of the ring. I'm not speaking from that aspect. You know what I'm saying? I'm a trainer. I'm older than them. I don't get into all of that nonsense. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Anthony made it sound like it's Caleb's attitude. Like he thinks he's bigger than himself, I think is what he said, or bigger than. So I'm just,
No, I never got that impression.
Me neither.
He's always been a nice guy to me.
Super nice.
Very respectful. I can remember when I first met him, he walked up and he introduced himself. And he said to me, listen, I'm going to be moving up to 168. And I knew you got to, at that time, Julian Williams was red hot prospect. And he was a little bit ahead of Caleb as far as number of fights. He was like, I would love to come spar and work with you guys and get better. So I was like, cool. As long as y'all not in the same division and y'all might have to fight each other, I'm cool with it. So he's always been a nice guy to me. I've never had the same view of him that Anthony has.
And to me, I remember I had an event out here in 2016. Him and his wife came, and he was great. He gave us plenty of time, not only to myself but to all my people that I invited. Took pictures with them. So, yeah, I never got that vibe. But I know I probably asked you this on the show again, but obviously not in. Yeah, that's yours. Not in-person setting. Now that we're in studio, I do want to take you back to the beginning because I'm sure you corrected me, but I got horrible memory, and I feel like I remember your start being with Ken because that's how I was introduced to you. But please let everybody know, how'd you get started as a trainer?
With Julian Williams.
Okay.
When you say Ken, you talking about who?
Porter.
Oh, yeah, I was with Julian Williams, and about a year after I was training Julian, me and Kenny got cool, and I went to one of Sean's fights. And when I was at one of his fights, my voice kind of carried loud, and I was kind of like yelling instructions to Sean. He was like picking up on it, catching the vibe. And Kenny was like, man, you'd be good working with my son. Sometimes they need to hear a new voice. So I worked with them for a couple of fights. But my start was with Julian Williams in 2010.
Oh, wow. So Julian was your first fighter?
Yes.
And so you've had him since the amateurs?
I had him since he turned pro.
Okay.
Yeah, I got world champion with my first guy.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great. So who did?
Yeah,
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say but
Who mentored him?
No, I was gonna ask. Yeah, what got you in the sport? Because like you didn't just learn with J Rock. Like obviously you had something got you in boxing.
You know what? When I got out of high school, I was a good basketball player. That's how I got my nickname. And I dislocated my knee, and I was like. When you 18, 19, your mind is just all over.
Wait, so Breadman means money man? Like
No.
making that money shot?
No, what happened is it was a movie out called Cornbread, Earl, and Me. You guys could Google it, but it's a movie out. It was a movie out in the 70s. And when I first went out for the basketball team, I was good. I don't want to say great or anything like that, but I was real good. I hit like 12, 13 threes the first scrimmage. And then my friends on the team, they said, man, we're going to start calling you Cornbread. And it stuck. And as I got older, I started gambling in the streets, doing different things, and I was making some good money. And then they cut the corn off and just start calling me Bread, and just stuck with me for the rest of my life. So people think it's from boxing, but it's actually from playing basketball. Then they just cut the corn off and just start calling me Bread. But back to boxing, I've always been a real big boxing fan. Growing up in the streets of Philadelphia, we would just fight outside all the time with the gloves on and everything. But I was a basketball player. So when I hurt my knee my senior year of basketball, I was in college, and I was just like, I just wanted more to do with myself. So I started going to the gym, and I started boxing. I was having good success. I'm pretty tall, and I was skinny at the time. I was like maybe 155, 160 pounds. And I'm 6'3", so I was boxing guys 5'7", 5'8", so I was having a big advantage over them. So it was fun to me. I never looked at it like it's going to be my career, or looked at it like I'm going to be anything except just recreational hobby of a guy that's still in like his athletic prime that just wants something to do. So I played around with boxing, go to the gym, sparred a lot of ex-world champions, fought a couple of exhibitions and stuff. And I would just go to the gym more like a hobby. And then maybe about 10, 12 years later, this kid comes along, and I had a big fight party. It was the Floyd Mayweather, Ricky Hatton fight party. It was Julian Williams. And, you know, he was telling me like, man, you know, I'm a nationally ranked. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to come check you out. I came to check out one of the amateur fights. I'm like, he's not bad. A couple years later, we still talking. He like, man, I want to turn pro. I don't like the amateur system, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I need some help. And that's what happened. And then I helped him. We had some shaky times in the beginning. You know, I'm sure you know, there's no money in boxing in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks it is, but it's not. Kids making $1,000 a fight, you can't live off of that. So, you know, I had money. It was like, look, man, you know, because he wanted to stop fighting and go to college. And I'm like, look, there's no job in the world that you're going to get where you can make $1 million in one night with your level of education, to be honest with you. Not in no community college. You wasn't on no dean's list. I'm like, I'm not saying don't get your education, but don't stop boxing. Because he was frustrated because he didn't have no money. He lived on his own. He just was frustrated. So I'm like, look, I'm not going to spoil you, but I'm going to make sure that the ends meet till we get to this point. He was like 6-0, 7-0. Now imagine you off 6 months and you made $2,000. That it takes its toll on you mentally. So I'm like, don't worry about it. I got you.
What made you do that?
You know what, man?
Especially when, you know, fighters leave trainers.
You know what, man?
And at this point, you know, your first fighter, like you said, y'all 6-0. You saw what you saw in the gym, but you don't know what's to come.
You know what, man? I'm going to tell y'all a story. Because sometimes people get cocky about their success. But a lot of times they shoot the arrow and then they draw the bullseye afterwards and tell you this intricate story of how they knew this and knew that. Man, I just did it because I'm just that kind of guy. I just looked at the kid and I knew he didn't have nobody. And I knew that, like, it was all or nothing for him. And I knew I had to make my mark in boxing. I had to do something with my resume. So I probably went above and beyond more than I would do now because I don't have another 10 or 12 years to grow a kid and do that kind of stuff with him, let him stay at my house and do all that. I pretty much was like a surrogate father. So I don't have that in me no more. I'm not going to lie. But with your first guy and you trying to build a resume, I knew that he needed every resource that I had because that's the only way we was going to make it. So, you know, and I really believe in karma. I don't want to get religious, but I do. I believe that things you put out, they come back to you. And I had a lot of disposable money at the time. It wasn't nothing for me to get a kid $1,000 to pay his rent. You know what I mean? It wasn't. And I told him, I said, I'm never going to take a big percentage from you. You going to go home with 80% of your money after you pay your whole team. All I need for you to do is shut your mouth and box. Stop talking about you want to go to do all of this other stuff. Fighting is your gift. And he, as time went on, he started believing it because you 6-0, then you 7-0, then you 8-0. Around like 10, 11, 9-0 is when we signed with Al Heyman in 2012. He started fighting a little bit more active. He started going up on the prospects list. So I noticed that his energy and his swag started changing. Like, damn, I am as good as this guy told me I was. And then he made the ESPN top prospect list. He like, damn, you know, and sometimes, man, you know, you just go with your instinct. Some kids are worth it and some kids aren't. You know, I don't have no special formula. I just looked at him and I said, this kid don't have no resources. And all of his success is just coming from just natural talent and just being a little tough street kid. But if he had resources and he knew how to work out the right way, and knew how to do his strength and conditioning the right way, if he knew how to do the diet the right way, if he had the right character as far as being in the gym, keeping your mouth closed, getting dressed, getting ready to work, going in there sparring, not being cocky, all of these kind of things. I said, if he got somebody to kind of like mentor him and shoot him in the right direction and allow himself to be coached, he could be a world champion, you know? And I just believe that, you know, and I didn't care. I don't let other people's opinion affect my opinion. I believe what I believe. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if I'm right, I'm right. So I just felt like it was something that I had to do to establish myself in my career as a boxing trainer, because you got to have a resume. You just can't say anybody could be a boxing trainer. So you got to do something to establish yourself. And with that particular kid, I didn't have no other kids at the time. So I got to put all my time in them. We would see each other like freaking 3 times a day. I wake him up 5 o'clock in the morning. We go run. Go get breakfast. He go to sleep. I go home. Be back at the gym 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At night, if he wanted to work out, he would call me. So for 3-4 years, that's all we did. So you don't have no choice but to get good when you just involve your environment is all boxing like that. You know what I mean? So I knew we would be successful because we really didn't have a choice. It was just literally the gym or the track or the park where we run in hills. That's it. That's all we did. And literally a date for us was me taking him food shopping, teaching him how to eat the right way. Like, man, you can't put garbage in your body. You don't put, garbage gas in a Lamborghini. You got to put good stuff. Let's go to Whole Foods. I was just trying to teach him how to live a certain kind of way. And it worked, but it wasn't no special formula. It's just that I just knew that's what I had to do to be successful.
Let me jump in because I want to go back to you saying you don't have it in you anymore to do that journey of building up a fighter as if it was your first.
Let me correct you. What I mean by that is because I got young guy. I got a guy 7-0 right now named Romel Cruz that I believe is the real deal. But with Julian, I met Julian. I didn't have children. I wasn't married. He could come in my house. He could stay there. He could do all of these things. I could build a fighter up. Can't no more fighters come in my house. I got an 11-year-old daughter now. You know what I'm saying? I got a son. Like when Julian would first come over, my kids was little when they was born, right? So they'd go upstairs and go to sleep. They was 2-year-old babies and stuff. That now I can't tell my daughter she can't play her music because of fighters in my house. You know what I'm saying? Things just change as you grow and evolve. I could bring a fighter up, but can't nobody else come live with me no more.
Right,
you know?
it's different.
The reason I was going to ask that is because, like, you think of Angelo Dundee. He let Tyson live with him.
Customado.
Yeah, Customado. And there's others, like Robert Garcia. He got an academy.
Yeah.
So maybe in your physical house is out of the question, but do you see a Breadman Academy where you have a building,
Yes.
2-3, because even Herman Caicedo, his gym got like
Jail cells.
they jail cells. They 10 by 10s.
100% I could do that. I'm actually looking forward to doing something like that. I just got to get the funding for it, to have a gym with a living facility in there. But when I say, see, I don't want to come off as bragging, but the things I did for Julian is something that a father does for their son.
But that's what coaches are in boxing.
It is. Listen, Ness, you right. But trust me when I tell you, it wears you out because you just said something. How you know to do that for a kid that's going to leave you? You know what I'm saying? Because me and him, we've had our issues. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I don't have it in me no more. What I'm saying is there's certain things I got to limit myself to do because I got a family now.
No, for sure.
And don't nothing come before my own family and my own kids.
No, I mean, obviously, a fighter approached you before you have kids. Yo, I need you in Vegas for 8 weeks. All right, cool.
You got it.
Cool. You
got
feel
it.
me? Now it's different. So,
got it.
Totally understand. Coach, I do want to ask you about something that it was actually the last thing you tweeted on your Twitter account, and it just happens to be, something that we're talking about today, today's topic. Obviously, this weekend we have a phenomenal card with the ladies in London.
I know you're gonna be mad at me like after the show, but could we not go to predictions? I still want to
No,
talk.
it's not a prediction though.
Okay.
That's a thing. Yeah. So you said that you watched obviously the Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall fight, and you believe that Shields won that fight. And I'm just curious, where did you watch that fight at, Coach?
I saw it on YouTube.
You saw it on YouTube. It's crazy. They took it down.
Yeah.
Sky took it down after.
After I made my post?
No, not after you made your post. After there was plenty of comments just like yours saying, obviously because that's their girl, Savannah Marshall is their girl. They putting it out there trying to promote her. And they like, yo, she didn't win that fight. They took it down. I didn't know if you knew that, and I was just curious on how you saw that fight.
Honestly, man, I be bored in my condo. And you know how like your old searches on YouTube just come up? I just happened to like stumble across it. And I'm like I don't watch women's boxing the way I do men's boxing, but they're doing a good job of promoting these fights. So I was just curious. I said, oh, let me check this out. I was bored. I'm on East Coast time, so I'm up early anyway. And I was watching. I was like, damn, Clarissa won this fight. Now, that don't mean she going to win this one. You know, she just happened to win that fight. But the promotion is built upon she's avenging her only career loss.
Right.
And when you watch the fight with your eyes, you know that they scorching her on that score because you can see the score at the bottom of it, and they not giving her credit for none of her punches. So I wasn't saying it to make controversy. I was just saying what I observed. It was a good fight. Marshall boxed pretty good, but Clarissa won the fight. If you're objectively looking at that fight, you know who won the fight.
A lot of controversy that we see, obviously, in amateur boxing. Just your thoughts on currently not having boxing be part of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics.
You know what's funny? My daughter is 11, and our goal is for her to run in the 2028 Olympics because it's going to be in Los Angeles. And when I saw that boxing is not going to be part of it, I just said to myself, this is why the fighters go through so much behind the scenes that don't nobody realize. This is why, because the money in boxing is just drying up. And nobody seems to realize it. But if y'all look, don't nobody fight often no more. They don't. All of the top guys. It ain't every 6 months. It's like every 8, 9 months. They not fighting often no more. And, you know, for some reason, I don't know why, but it just seems like everything is drying up when it comes down to the sport that we all making a living in and love. It's just crazy. Like the inactivity is because of money. That's why when a fighter fights, you have to get paid. And so now everybody's the top guys. After you get to that championship level, they all down to once every 8 or 9 months. Just look at their records in BoxRec, and you'll be like, damn, it's the weirdest thing in the world. Like, it's no more money in boxing.
I mean, I think that's because they want too much money. You know, I mean, Charlo ain't out because it ain't no more money. He out because of himself. Benavidez want to fight his ass. Andre want to fight his ass. They just can't come to a happy medium. You got Showtime out here acting like a promoter, talking about, we're done with that. Andre had his, like, you're a fucking executive. You're supposed to either want the fight or not. Don't worry about anything that the fighters is squabbling about. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Canelo fought 3 times last year.
On pay-per-view, Ness.
Not one?
Just once.
Only one was on pay-per-view.
Only one was on
Just the
pay-per-view?
plant fight.
Yeah.
The other 2 was Dazn.
Wasn't that part of his deal?
What you mean? Charlo got to deal with Showtime. Charlo's on a subscription. I got to pay $10 a month for that shitty ass Showtime.
You know what?
Like I got to pay $8.83
one thing
for the
I
zone.
don't want to do is argue over millionaire problems, but I think Canelo is an anomaly. I think that he's the biggest star in boxing, so he can afford to call his shots. I think that guys like Canelo, Tank, Joshua, Wilder, Fury, you got to talk about them in a different realm
For sure.
than every single body else. Let's just use our common sense. They make the needle move. So when I say something, I'm talking about not the exception. I'm talking about the majority in the rule, because there is a little difference. Charlo is a star. Canelo is a superstar. They're totally different. I'm telling you that if Charlo's career high pay is maybe $4 or $5 million, I don't know the man's bank account. I'm guessing Canelo got 10 times that.
For sure.
So you can't compare them like that because they are different.
But
levels.
somehow they found the way for the dude to get paid 10 times as much. They found a way for him to get on TV.
Who, Canelo?
Yeah. If it's about money, how am I getting the more expensive attraction on TV? He costs me more to put Canelo on TV.
But he also makes you more.
It still costs more. You need that upfront money.
You're right.
That's a
You're
lot,
right.
too.
You're right. But you got people that's willing to invest in a more sure return. That's what I'm trying to say. Like he's a
And we go back to what my answer, which is those guys are sitting idle because they want too much money. So now the investors is like, I'm not paying. Samson said right here in that chair, $7 million just to start the conversation with Andre and
Boo-boo.
Benavidez. Like,
Wow.
ain't nobody really gonna pay that shit no mind. Of course, y'all gonna sit on the shelf.
Yeah.
But
Now
but,
look at Benavidez.
But they said
he's so willing, but now he got to call out better beat. He talking about 75 because these other dudes ain't trying to fight him.
Benavidez as a fighter.
Exactly.
A fighter. You know, I don't.
Lonnie B came here, talking about, oh, they don't want to let me fight. We find out $500,000 to fight Benavidez. You ain't take it. I ain't get 500,000. It was 250. His manager calling, bro, you know that was 400. I said, oh, what happened to that other 100 then?
See, that's people gotta be careful with that because fighters lie. And I don't know Lonnie B or whoever you're talking about, but fighters lie.
Oh, that's the Michael Jordan of boxing.
Yeah,
No, he said he the Michael Jordan of the super middleweight division, which happens to be the division Caleb fights in. But yeah.
And you might want to bring him in for sparring because he always say, ask Caleb Plant. He always say
He
that.
does say that. He does say that.
See, I just started training Caleb. And you know how the gym is, Ness, guys say stuff. I don't get into that kind of stuff.
He's the dude that beat Ustatsigi before everybody.
No, not before everybody. After Caleb.
Oh.
After Caleb. He beat
Okay.
Ustatsigi after Caleb. It was on the Gervonta Davis, Hiroki's Gamboa.
I know who you're talking about. He's a slick boxer. He could fight.
With Mayweather.
Yeah, he's good. I know who he is now. Black dude, kind of short for the weight, but he could box good. I know who he is. Yep. He could. I mean, but I don't know nothing about him and Caleb. I don't get into that kind.
Oh
of stuff.
no, it's nothing with him. Like Caleb is his boy, and he just they train together. So or have because of the Mayweather gym once upon a time. So he'll be like, oh, ask you Bank, Caleb, ask up Tabiti. I've sparred all them dudes. They know.
Okay, I could believe it. I could believe it. What a lot of stuff happened in the gym, man.
For sure. Who was telling us that about the gym? And it's like fighters are great in the gym, but then. Oh, Roy Jones. We have Roy in our other studio at the Win, and he's like, basketball helped him because he felt like fighting. I mean,
playing 3 times a week
in front of all those people.
Fans helped him for the fights because he's like, shit, I was in my zone. I'm doing what I do, 3 times a week.
Yeah, he says outside of that, like the anxiety can get to you if you're not used to fighting under those lights.
Oh, Ness, forget about it, man. First of all, we in the era right now, right? Where most of the better fighters are not going to have 40-fight careers. Mm-hmm. They just don't fight enough. You know what I mean? So anything involving skill, you got to do it all the time. And fighting another human being is a nerve-wracking thing. You know what I mean? I don't care how tough you say you are, you get anxiety doing it. Now, some people can compartmentalize it and some people can't, but there is a level of anxiety. So guys in the gym, like, everybody complains about this quote-unquote hard sparring. I'm like, well, how you going to make up for a fight in once every 9 months if you don't put yourself under the gun and spar? Because you dealing with, they always say, well, fighters of this era are not as good. They aren't because they don't do it enough. Guys like Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns had 30 fights when they was 24 and 25 years old. So their peaks is going to look higher. They're going to be sharper fighters than the dude now, Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford. Earl Spence is 32 and got 27 professional fights. In another era, guy has 60, 70 fights by the time they was 32 years old. So it's a different level. So the only way you can make up for that is
going
being
back
in
to
the
what
gym.
I said. It's the money.
Listen,
you think about the era that you've watched boxing and, because I don't know my history, but you go back and it's like dudes having 6 fights in 8 weeks or 4 months. It's because of the money. I could pay you $2,000. I could pay you $5,000.
Think about it. How many cars did Don King have where you got 3 Hall of Famers on the card?
Often.
And you get what I'm saying? Yeah, he would do it all the time, but that's because he wasn't paying them enough. This guy here,
but it's also because he did a lot of pay-per-views.
That's
you gotta
cool.
understand
That's
when you
cool.
on pay-per-view, you can demand your money because you make that back. Earl and Crawford ain't made because hypothetically, I'm assuming Crawford because there's still one win, but hypothetically, we assuming Earl and Crawford want over 10 mil. Earl got like 8 for Mikey. How I'm gonna do undisputed for less than that? So
listen, I'm not disputing nothing that you're saying. I just try not to get into those conversations because those backroom conversations can be tricky. Mm-hmm. I never negotiated a pay-per-view fight, but I have negotiated big contracts for my guy after Julian Williams beat Jarrett Hurd. So it can get tricky about some things that's said and things like that. You got to just be super careful with that. But you are right. Fighters kind of get a little bit spoiled because when you overpay a guy for a fight that he got 80 or 70% chance to win and you want him to take that 50-50 fight, you can't pay him the same thing for that fight because the fighter's going to look at you and say, man, I knew I was going to beat that other guy. This guy right here, I deserve the king's ransom. And as his manager, if you're his manager, you're going to ask that too for the simple reason of, and everybody hates when I say this, this is a dirty, dark secret in boxing, you take a pay cut when you lose.
Oh, we argue about that all
You
the
take a pay
time.
cut when you lose. So people always say, well, how come fighters don't want to step up? And I always say, you got to ask the promoters and the networks why they want to cut your pay by 50 and 60% after you take a L and mock you and show commercials of you getting clipped or whatever. Of course, fighters not going to want to step up. If I could make $1 million to fight you every time, why would I make $1.5 million to fight freaking Jerron Ennis?
But
And he
that's
the most
why
talented kid
you
around.
only fighting twice a year, because as a manager, I gotta live up to that contract. Shit, fucking year coming around. Let's get Breadman that fucking fight. That's it. I'm just meeting
As
the
a
quota.
promoter.
As a promoter, I'm just meeting that quota. I'm not really getting you the fight, because the fight, Chris Eubank Jr., he was over there with PBC, allegedly Charlo fight. Never happened. You know how many alleged Charlo fights? Something's up. Something's up. It's either money or money. It ain't nothing else. It's either he want too much money or they ain't got no money, because Eubank was there for like 2 fights.
Coach, I gotta ask about something you just said. The fighters in today's era not having those long, many fight in their careers and things like that. But we just talked about, obviously, boxing being removed from the Olympics, which we just spoke to an amateur fighter, and we've seen it, I feel like, more often, where fighters are going back to turning pro at 17, at 18, and we're seeing them get. I mean, Devin Haney is 23 years old, and he's 28-0.
And undisputed.
He went to Mexico, though.
Yeah.
And he had a father who's very resourceful, was able to do that. So, again, that's an anomaly. That's not a rule. Who else has a dad that can help finance their career and do it? Most of these kids don't even have that. So when people use those examples, I'm not correcting you. I'm just telling you that everybody don't have those resources.
But do you believe that we'll see more fighters?
He's trying to say more fighters are taking that route.
Yeah, well, if you're not going to get the big Olympic signing bonus, then you might as well finance the career early so you can take all of the money late. See, that's what I did with Julian. I made sure he didn't have to take a signing bonus, a big money manager, or nothing. I just made sure he was okay till he probably made about like $25,000 to $50,000. Then he kind of didn't need me no more. You understand what I'm saying? If he needed me after that, it was like, yo, man, give me my camp expenses and then I'll get it back from the promoters. But after that, he was cool. But till you get to that, it takes 15 to 16 fights to get to that point. So what do you do in that time? See, that's how the economics of boxing get messed up. Somebody will come to you and Ness and be like, yo, man, I need this kid. He can't work. I need y'all to help me with this kid. And y'all give this kid $2,000 a month for 4 years. That's $24,000 a year that you done gave him for 4 years. That's roughly
$96,000, right?
Okay. Right? Now this kid up to $100,000. You're not going to take 10% from him. $10,000 is not enough for what you invested in him. And you got a right to want your money. Sometimes fighters play the victim, right? But you got a right to want your money. You're going to take 33 1/3, whatever the law allows, because you want your money back, because you don't know when he's going to get clipped. You don't know when he's going to lose.
You don't know when he's going to get another big fight.
You don't know when he's going to get another big fight. More importantly, you don't know if he's going to get pissed off and leave you because the contract ran out. So therefore, you know what you do? You get all your money when you can. And then you'll have a fighter that tell like a little horror story about how he was getting jerked and they was getting robbed. But they don't tell how Ness and my man here with the San Diego hat financed them for 4 years. So it's a lot to go on in boxing that people can't really talk about. And they had these little victim playing stories. And then you get a good guy like me that say, man, listen, I'm going to take 10% as your trainer, 5% as your advisor, and I'll do everything, and I'm never going to go up. But how many guys you going to run into that's going to do that for you? It's very rare in boxing. So Devin Haney got a father who loved him and who was able to do that for him, and now the fruits of the labor pay off. But it's so much involved in that, everybody's not willing to go through that again. So, and I'm telling you, it's time and money. You don't want to put your money up for somebody that's not going to pan out.
And Devin is his son. So like, you imagine you putting up $96,000 for someone else's son, and like I said, he walk off on you.
You got it.
I spent 4 years of my life training this dude, giving him money, and he walked off because Freddie Roach now likes him.
It happens every day.
No, I know.
Fighters,
I know.
99% of the fighters have no loyalty, and as soon as they lose, they don't blame it on themselves. They blame it on the people around them for putting in the fight, or you didn't show me this move. They got like narcissistic views about everything because they got to channel it in their brain. They can't say, Ness kicked my ass. He just better than me today. They can't say that. Me and Ness fight, he get over on me. I'll have to make up all these excuses on why he got over on me instead of him just being a better man on that day. Fighters is funny like that, man. So it's a lot that go into that. So that's why I try.
I should be letting this go because I know that his following is like a cult, and they might beat me one day. But did you see what Wilder said since you brought that up?
No, I didn't see anything.
Deontay Wilder asked if he ever will be friendly with Tyson Fury. And I quote, "Nah, never, because I know the truth behind that. I don't condone cheating and shit like that. I know that, no matter what people say. People say if he did have something in his gloves, why not go to the authorities? Why the fuck would I do that when I had the opportunity to put hands upon him and the possibility to try and kill him and get paid millions doing it?" So he still believes Tyson Fury cheated. And I'm just bringing that up because you said fighters bring up excuses and don't, they blame everyone else and everything around them other than themselves. What is your thoughts, obviously, on that trilogy? Do you think there could have been foul play? Because this is a corrupt sport. It is come on, Margarito. What's my man name? The other really very, very famous one with the water bottle.
Aaron Pryor.
No, the other one.
Aaron Pryor. Panama Lewis had
Panama
the water
Lewis,
bottle.
yeah.
He gave the water bottle to Aaron Pryor.
There you go. So we've seen it. It's foreign.
It's unfortunate. I'm getting news that this weekend's ladies' card is probably gonna get canceled.
What?
Due to Queen Elizabeth being in bad health and they're expecting her passing before the fight. So, everybody's already came out. Adam Smith with Sky, they already said that they'll postpone it should she pass. So
wow. UK is serious, bro. They don't even like you cursing. They fine you as a fighter for cursing and stuff.
Wow. That's deep.
The whole country is going to take a timeout. Whoa.
Wow.
That's a lot of money, man. They must got a lot of money to throw away because that's going to have to now be.
You know what the best investment would be? To form some kind of insurance company on canceled sporting events or concerts, because it seems to happen quite often these days. Could you imagine?
Oh, the other day, I forget. It was, I forget, maybe The Weeknd. I forget. It was a huge artist that the first song, their voice went out.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And all the fans were complaining, not that the voice went out, but I think it was Ticketmaster wasn't willing to give refunds, and they y'all made probably $3-4 million on the gate, if not more,
and no songs were. That's crazy.
You get what I'm saying?
No songs were sang.
But earlier this year, same thing happened in the UAE when the. I don't know if it's the king. I don't know what they have over there, but the head person died, and then we had the Floyd Mayweather event, postponed, and things were canceled because of that. So just something to keep an eye out. But
Coach, but I still want your thoughts. I ain't letting you out. It does some shaky. Not shaky because that we know shaky, but at that level, that level of glove tampering, do you believe it can happen?
I'm gonna answer it the best way I can. I had a fight. I could tell you what fight it is. I don't mind. Julian Williams was fighting Freddie Hernandez on St. Patrick's Day, 2014, up in Boston. A year prior to that, I had an issue with Karan up there. Karan fights at 160 pounds. He was on preliminary card. I think it was Vanis Rosen was fighting Willie Nelson. Okay. They gave Karan 8-ounce gloves. Anybody who fights over 147 should be wearing 10-ounce gloves. I'm an honorable guy. I could have put the gloves on and go out and kill the kid. But I'm like, yo, bro, y'all guys is moonlighting as commission people. Y'all don't really care or know the rules. You can't give a 160-pound fighter 8-ounce gloves. We was fighting at Connecticut, one of the Indian reservations.
I got you.
So he was like, oh, man. So the commissioner guy came out to him and was like, man, I'm so glad you did that, man. I would like for you to come up here and speak, because these guys, I'm like, it's your responsibility, sir, because I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do that. I could have taped him up and he went out there and been hitting his kid with 8-ounce gloves on. Julian Williams is fighting Freddie Hernandez. I told Golden Boy, because that's when Golden Boy was working with Al Heyman a lot at the time. I'm like, yo, I gotta watch them wrap his hands. He was like, cool. I get to the dressing room, both his hands is wrapped in tape. I said, we ain't fighting. If y'all watch the telecast, they kept putting commercials on because it's on YouTube, simply because we had to go to the room and take the tape off. I'm like, I'm not fighting. When I went out there, it was tape, gauze, tape, gauze. I'm like, his wraps is stacked. Well, we let people. I said, no, you don't. A couple commissions, maybe Vegas or somebody let y'all do it. But y'all can't do that with my guy. We not fighting. I made him take it off, put it back on the right way. My old head is Dazn Richardson, so I know how that stuff go. And we won the fight, third round knockout. So when you ask me, can stuff still go on? Yes, it can. Can it go on at that level after accusations were already made? If his gloves was tampered with in the first or second fight, I would think it would probably be impossible in the third fight because somebody would be there looking. There are small things that happen in boxing that's, to me, inconsequential. Like you might have your tape a little bit past the border where the wrist is supposed to be, so your gloves could kind of be a little tighter. That's something that most trainers will do. You might put, instead of Vaseline, you might put a little cocoa butter on the guy, and that's not that big of a deal because he got sensitive skin and you don't want him to cut up, and Vaseline kind of clogs the pores. That's not a big deal to me. You might give a guy a haul in the locker room, or let him like eat some beets or chew some ginger to kind of get his blood flowing a little bit because you're not supposed to. That ain't no big deal. You know what I mean? But when you talk about putting stuff in people's gloves, that's serious. You know what I mean? I don't want to comment on that because I'm not part of that. But somebody from Wilder's team has to be responsible for that. So that's a serious accusation. Far as I know, nothing was ever founded about it. But after you make that kind of accusation, they fought 3 times. So I'll just leave it at that. Like at some point, somebody has to be responsible for watching that man put his gloves on and things like that. You know, Margarito was only able, after he got caught, it never happened again because the eyes are on you at that point. So I'm not going to say that it's impossible. I'm not going to question Wilder's integrity. I just don't know how it could have happened multiple times after you make the accusations, because at that point, all eyes are on people.
Any fighter that you work with, when they fight, you're watching the opponent's hands be wrapped?
Or I usually wrap my guys' hands, but
somebody will be watching regardless.
But the messed up part is, unless you like a main event top level guy, a lot of times the commission don't let you over in the room. I would love for y'all guys to be able to have a chance to be in the dressing rooms because it's a lot going on. It's busy. Like these local fights, one time I got into an argument with a commissioner and I said, I love this kid right here fighting a 4-rounder as much as I do my championship level guys. His health mean the same thing to his family as that guy do. Bro. They'll watch you watch hands for like about 2 or 3 minutes and then walk away to another guy. It might be one commissioner assigned to 5 guys and he can't watch all of that. So it's a lot more going on than what people think.
I'm with you because I did a lot of club shows in Atlanta and I told the commission, I'm like, bro, you know that heavyweight is sitting on his gloves and they're fucking folded? Like, he literally folded his gloves and sat on them to break them in before the fucking fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is you doing?
Yeah.
I was flipping out. It was insane to me. I ain't understand
when people say it can't happen, I'll be like, I ain't going to say it can't happen. It can happen if you got a rotten coach that's willing to do certain things. The likeliness of it happening at the top level is slim, but it's not impossible because guys from the commission, they walk around, they do different things. You don't know. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I've been back there. I know you've been in locker rooms before fights, and I was actually in a championship fight where the challenger, it's like they was literally gonna let him walk out with no mouthpiece, like out of the locker room. I'm like, bro, y'all supposed to have the 2 mouthpieces ready. Like, y'all supposed to check for these things, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, cool. And then on another occasion, same thing. It's like they didn't wait for the opponent's team to come watch hand wraps, and it was like, well, the commission would say they're like, well, I wasn't, so I need to rewatch that. I'm like, oh shit.
And let me tell you something else. When you fight at different places, you get licensed in each state. Some commissioners let you do things that other ones don't. You know what I mean? And you gotta, man.
That's why we need universal commission. It's state by state. So New York might use instant replay. New Jersey doesn't. New York might allow certain type of rap.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
like,
Philly doesn't.
The state of Nevada, you brought up the glove situation. The state of Nevada, I didn't know if you knew, but 35 to 47, they could fight in 10-ounce gloves as well. If
both teams gotta agree.
Yeah, both teams have to agree.
But nobody, you want to hurt the guy, so you don't agree to that. You want your 8s on, but both teams have to agree, and that is true technically. But you don't want to be the team that say, "Man, I want 10s," because it's gonna make you look like your guy ain't with it.
See, and you know, I thought that, but then the Thurman versus Barrios fight happened. And then that's at 47. And they're like, yeah, we're using 10s. And I'm like, oh, wow. That's when I found out that rule. So, yeah, to this day, I don't know who requested because Barrios say Keith requested. Keith say
you gotta.
That proves my point. That proves my point. Nobody's going to admit that they requested
but
that.
You know it was Barrios. He the smaller man moving up, coming off a knockout. Like, no.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I didn't even know they wore 10s. But if you use your common sense, you probably would figure that he would be the one. But I don't know.
So just to finish with Wilder, obviously he's got the Hellenius comeback, but WBC Mauricio Suleiman said that if he wins, the next fight is Ruiz Wilder, final eliminator, mandatory for Tyson Fury. If Wilder can get 2 more Brazil-like knockouts on Hellenius than Ruiz, are you willing to pay again for a 4th Tyson Fury fight? Do you want Tyson to give him that fight, or do you want Tyson to be like, nah?
There's a lot of room.
Dead that chapter.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of room. I think when guys fight 3 times and that one guy doesn't have any losses, I mean, how many times are you going to do it? But I don't want to speak, me personally, I don't need to see it again. But Deontay Wilder's a dog, and he's say what you want about him, he's a courageous guy. And those comments he made about not stopping my fight and letting me fight to the death, he proved that in the 3rd fight.
Yes, he did.
That. You know what I mean? So, whatever you say about him, you got to tip your hat to that, man, because that beating he took that 3rd fight, that Joker kept trying. He wouldn't give up. He almost won the fight. Like, he's a courageous dude. He might not be the most technically brilliant guy, and he might have a personality that don't fit with everybody. I don't know Deontay personally at all. I've never even had any interaction with him. But just from a boxing standpoint.
You've never met him?
Like, we be on the same card.
I was going to say, because
I don't like walk up to him and be like, yo, bro, give me a call. I'm not like that. I like nod and I kind of stay to myself. All my friendships is like organic. It just got to just be like something that just form. I'm not like that. Me and his trainer is cool. Malik Scott. Yeah, I'm cool with him. But he a courageous guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he will want to fight Tyson Fury again, because that's just the kind of guy he is.
I remember J-Rock being on the undercard of the first Fury Wilder in Los Angeles.
Yes, that was our tune-up right before Jarrett Hurd. They kept him and Jarrett Hurd on the same schedule, and they kept fighting on the same cards because Jarrett Hurd wanted to fight Julian at home. So from 2018 all the way up to they fought on the same card 3 times.
And what do you remember in that fight with Fury and Wilder? Because I remember being there ringside, and Coach, I promise you, I really thought he hurt that man badly. When Fury went down in that 12th round, my heart dropped.
I was in shock.
When he went down or when he got up?
Both. I was like all night long, the crowd was going just, because he was just missing that right hand. He was just missing it. And he dropped him earlier, maybe the 9th. I can't remember exactly the round, because Fury rolls the right hand down, right? And Wilder kept missing it by a little bit, and he finally dropped it behind his ear. So he gets up, and in the 12th round, he hits him with a right hand left hook. And I'm like, wow, he finally got him, man. I'm saying to myself, this dude always get people. And Fury got up. I said,
with hella energy.
And buzz Wilder before everybody forgets he cracked Wilder before the round was over.
I don't forget.
I was like, damn. I said, man, I was actually explaining to Julian, I said, man, it's different kind of chins in boxing. There's some dudes that get hurt and go down, but they don't have iron chins where you can't dent them, but they have the kind of chins where they got real fast, weird recuperative powers where they can be hurt.
Rayo, did you see this weekend's fight?
Oh, man.
That boy, even though he lost, man, he got amazing recovery.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think Venezuela, I don't know, I'm biased. I watched them train and spar. I wasn't expecting what happened. Shout out to Edwin de los Santos. You watched that fight?
Yeah.
The 35 pounders?
That
was crazy.
I've really thought that the kid, I don't want to get off topic, Valenzuela. I was like, man, he's a good looking prospect. Like, when I saw that fight, he was fighting somebody 15-1 with 14 knockouts. I'm like, damn, this kid, like, he could be in line for a big Tank fight, a big Raleigh fight. Like, I was surprised he took that fight.
7 days.
Short notice.
You know it. You just talked about Julian Williams coming up. Imagine you and Julian got a fight 7 weeks in. They like, yo, he pulled out. Now this is all they give you. So you know Julian like, fuck it, coach. I'm on point. We was training.
Yeah.
Let's take it.
That's
and
a
then you
tough
get
fight.
that motherfucking
What's
dangerous
your thoughts on that, coach? Because some coaches look at it like, nah, my fighter, Kenny Porter's one of them. My fighter's been through training camp. He got to get his nut off, basically. He got to get those rounds in. What's your thoughts on, those last-minute opponents?
To be clear, though, Kenny, when he said that, he's not saying with a replacement. What I'm going to remind you, I'm sure you remember, what Kenny did is obviously his son didn't get the fight, so they had the exhibition in the gym with Leonardo Tyner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What fight was it?
I forget what fight got canceled.
It was a fight that got canceled, but they did, they held an exhibition just so he could get those rounds in. So
because he's like, yo, my son's been in camp for XYZ. I can't have
I've had plenty of fights canceled, and you handle it a lot different ways. I've had a fight canceled, and they gave me another date within 4 weeks. So I let him take off 2 days, let him eat whatever he wanted to because he was cutting weight. I didn't want him to be too stale and have to hold the weight, and then we went back to camp. I've had fights canceled. I've had opponents pull out, and I tell them, y'all got to find me somebody. Because you're right. I don't want to use that term, ladies, but you do got to get your nut off. You got a fighter that's abstaining. He's dieting. He in a nasty mood. He ready to kill. He peaking. You can't play with that, so you got to go. Sometimes the economics don't provide it, and you got to just pull out, and your man is mad at you, but that's just what it is. I'm not saying Valenzuela's people was wrong. I'm just saying I couldn't believe it when he took that fight. I was like, God damn. Because the kid, he looks the part. He's tall. He's Mexican. He speaks well.
No, bro, and he's with David.
Yeah, when they took the fight, I was like, God damn. This is what I said to myself. This kid must be better than what I thought he was to take this kind of fight. Because I knew he was talented, but he beat up on an older guy on the Earl Spence card that was a little bit shot. So that's matchmaking, so you can kind of look a little bit better than what you are. So I was like, man, this kid must be the real freaking deal to be taking this fight. And
as a trainer, you don't think it was game plan? I like, from my years being in this sport, the way I interpreted it was, dude pulled out. He got a late replacement. Looked at his trainer like, man, we've been training. I'm ready. It don't matter who's across from me. And he went out there thinking he gonna knock him out. And he seen my man was fighting fire with fire. So he like, all right, well, this card is for me. They invested in me. So he kept fighting with fire. He didn't throw no jabs. I mean, it was all wind up shots, big left hooks.
Can I tell you something about young fighters, Ness? Young fighters who are punchers and fighters who are in general who have a gift, they all become infatuated with their gift until it don't work no more. So if you got a fighter who punch really hard, he wants to show everybody that they punch really hard. Human beings in general is like that. See a nice looking girl with a real nice butt, I don't mean to get sexual. She's not going to wear a bunch of loose dresses. She's going to let you see her butt. You understand what I'm saying? So the kid, Rayo, is knocking people out. He's around Benavidez, who's an axe murderer. He's the real deal. The younger David Benavidez, he the real. So he's around that all the time. So in his mind, he thinks he's invincible.
A killer. Yeah.
He thinks he's a killer. He thinks he can't be hurt. So sometimes you got to have that humbling experience. Unfortunately for him, guys don't come back from losses that well in this era because he probably going to sit out another 9-10 months and have to think about it and go through all of the humiliation on social media. But before that fight, he believed he was an animal. He believed he could beat Roberto Duran at 135 pounds. So they look at things differently. So it's kind of easy to be the Monday morning quarterback, or I call it the Sunday morning coach, and say what you should have did. He didn't believe that. The dude's probably like, man, he's a Dominican kid. He ain't fought nobody. He got one loss.
Same Colbert shit.
You got it. So they don't view that. You ever see a guy with real good reflexes? He want to fight with his hands down and show everybody how good his reflexes is. Fighters are infatuated with their gifts. I watch fighters. I listen to every single thing that they say, especially ones that's an opponent. I could remember Julian was fighting a dude by the name of Hugo Centeno.
Oh, I remember Hugo.
Every single interview, all he talked about was his jab and how tall he was, how he had the reach advantage, and he was going to outbox him. I said, man, we're going to put a jab on him. The shorter guy can out-jab the taller guy if you jab from a certain angle. Julian wasn't as tall as he was, but he was longer than him. And I was like, length is more important than height, because you could jab up like this and jab the shit out of him. Watch that fight on you. That kid quit in the 4th round, and they made it seem like it was something wrong with his eye. Had a little cut on his eye. And I'm saying that to say is everybody's infatuated with their gifts until the gifts don't work no more. That's how we all are. So El Rayo, I know y'all saying, well, he should have boxed. Before the fight, he like, man, I'm smoking this guy. He believed that his that's what he was. Yeah. Now he might box a little bit more. You know what I mean? He might reevaluate that. And Coach, let me tell you something else. His chin got to hold up.
But it did. You don't think?
Well, he got stopped.
I mean, the ref jumped in.
Okay, well, I'm not saying he got a glass jaw, but what I am saying is that he was hurt. So when you got that kind of attitude and you believe that, I don't want to blame the coaches for letting a killer be a killer. If you're going to be a killer, your chin got to hold up. Or not, you can't blame your coaches in the game plan, because they didn't blame the game plan when he went out and smoked old boy in Dallas to fight before. So I don't want to blame his coaches. You know, I just think that he ran into it. Sometimes the rabbit got a gun, man. Sometimes the other guy is fighting back, and it just what it is. Let's see what kind of character the kid got and see if he can come back.
So as a trainer, how do you prepare a fighter for that? Because in one hand, it sounds like trainers want the fighter to be a killer, want him to have confidence. But then in another hand, you want him to not be confident, go in there and believe that the person on the other end can do damage.
You taking that wrong. That's not showing the other guy a healthy respect and not being confident is two different things. I want my killers to be killers. But if you fighting the dudes, you got to respect certain dudes. You keep your hands up. You let your body get warmed up. You take your time. It's a 10-round fight. We're not going in there doing nothing crazy. I want my killers to be killer. Everybody don't have a killer style. Everybody don't have a killer mentality. Everybody don't have a killer punch. So every fighter is different. I ain't never told no fighter to run in there and go balls to the wall against a dude 15-1 with 14 knockouts. You can get your head knocked off. Anybody can be clipped. I don't care who you are. So you go in there, you have a healthy respect for the guy. You ain't scared of him. You confident, but he's a man like you a man. You box a little bit. You let your body get warmed up. Let yourself warm up to his power. You catch his rhythm. You find out what he's doing, and then you go to work. That's what you tell a fighter in that situation. Do 15-1 with 14 knockouts for a reason. You don't go crazy with that kind of guy because you could get knocked out, and that's what happened.
So do we start valuing Dominican and Mexican build-up resumes? Because that's kind of how we interpret that. Like, oh, look at what Colbert said about Hector Garcia. Like, man, who he knocked out? Those are the Dominicans he knocked out.
Well, guess what? When he hit him, I value everybody, Ness.
I'm telling you,
yeah.
Even Colombian records.
I value that. I look to see who their trainer is. I look to see who they fought. I look to see where they're training at. Are they training in America? Do they have any credible sparring partners? I value any and everybody. I just told Caleb, bro, listen to me. This going to be a hard fight. Anthony Dirrell is an older guy. This might be his last shot. He got anger issues towards you for whatever reasons he done made up in his head. Don't you believe for 1 second this dude gonna come and lay down for you. This is a real fight. Don't believe none of that hype about him being shot or none of that. He coming to go to work and he got a good trainer. I don't play that. Now, if you want to be complacent and have that kind of attitude, most times that shit humbles you. You know what I mean? So I don't talk like that. We running out here, Ness. It's 110 degrees at UNLV. Like you can die in that. We putting work in because I don't look at Anthony Dirrell like he no old man. I'm not spending 8-9 weeks out here in Vegas away from my family for this to be an easy fight. So if you want me to train you, we don't go into nothing like that. That complacent attitude gets you knocked out, and you got to be special to turn that switch on and off where you think a dude is a turkey and he turned out to be a killer, and you just got to raise your awareness up. If you ain't special, you can't do that. You got to give everybody a healthy respect. You got to look at them like the biggest threat of your life.
Coach,
Sound like Michaela Mayer.
I want to talk about just some of the sparring that
Do you have time? My producer hit me, said you did say 45 minutes because
No,
of
I'm
training.
good. Well, I don't got to be to the gym to 10:30.
Okay, so I saw Amari Jones in a picture next to Caleb. I heard they got some sparring there. What made you bring in a smaller, younger, less experienced fighter in Amari? Obviously, there was something that you guys saw to bring him in to work with Caleb.
You bring all kind of guys in for sparring. He's about 6 foot, 6'1". He's close to Dirrell's height. Younger guys spar harder. They got less wear and tear on them. They got more to prove. If you're gonna charge for sparring, I want somebody that's out there trying to work. I done a lot of camps, and from my experience, younger fighters give you the best work. He's a little smaller, but you gotta realize he ain't walking around at 160 pounds. You know what I mean? And
54, you mean? He a 54 pounder.
he told me he was a 60 pounder.
Really?
But whatever it is, everybody walks around 20 to 25 pounds over their fight weight. Fighters lie. They all make up stories about, I'm only 10 pounds off. Nobody's like that until the fight's coming up.
Nobody, not even Porter? Because Ken notoriously likes to say, well, Sean stays 10 pounds within fight weight all year round.
I don't believe that. I've been around Sean. He fought at 165 as an amateur. I don't believe he just walks around in his everyday life doing nothing. 6 months out from a fight at 156, 157, I don't believe that's possible. I don't know if his body could hold that.
Do you think we'll ever see the guys like I felt like Floyd and Manny towards the end of their careers?
Because they moved up 4 or 5 divisions.
Right. And that's where I was getting. Do you believe that we'll see these guys coming up now? Do you think we'll see the 4, 5, 6 division champions?
Yeah, but it depends on the weight you start at. See, it's easier to jump weight when you start at 126 or 130. People don't like when I say that because they think I'm devaluing the smaller guy. But jumping from 118 to 122, all those guys is roughly the same size. You jump from 60 to 68, or you see how many
68 to 75.
You see how many good welterweights we got in this era? We got a lot of good welterweights, right?
Yes, sir.
None of them won the title at 54. Think about that when I say that. Not one. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Andre Berto, Devin Alexander, Tim Bradley. I could go on and on and on. The only ones that won titles is fighters from the era before that. Cotto, Manny, and Floyd. That's a real jump. None of them dudes moved up to 54. There's a reason for that. They built different. The bone density, when you get a little bit bigger, the only one that really got the bone density to do it is Earl. He's the only one.
So you don't believe
I don't
Crawford?
know. I disagree. Danny moved up and
He just moved up. He's been fighting 14 years.
I get it. He just moved up, but he still had a solid win at 54.
He fought an ex-40 pounder at 54.
Keith moved up 10 years ago and beat a former 54 champ or 140 pound champ. 147 pound champ, King China.
I love Danny. Danny, my guy. I love Danny. What I'm saying is that's a big, big jump.
I'm not disagreeing.
He waited to move up 14 years in his career. Still haven't won a title. He beat a guy that's way past his best day that used to be at 40. He didn't move up and fight. He didn't move up and fight Tony Harrison.
But he's doing what Danny does. Remember when Danny moved from 40 to 47, he took a couple in between fights, a 42 or 43. Then he jumped in there with Malignaggi. He taking this fight with David Benavidez's brother Jose. He called out Laura.
Listen,
at 60.
I'm not saying he can't do it.
But
I love Danny.
I'm not saying you're saying he can't. I'm telling you that
none of them
he is
have done
attempted.
it.
No.
None of them have done it.
And that's the only correction I'm making.
Yeah.
That I'm not saying you saying he can't. I'm just saying, Breadman, he is trying.
Yes, he's trying.
Out of everybody, he's trying.
Let's see if he can pull it off.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can win the title.
And Laura's old enough too. Like if he ever gonna do it, Laura.
That's a good fight. Right now, it's about an even fight because of where
Especially if
they
they could get him at a catch weight, because I heard something about a 155.
That's possible. All I'm saying is that it's a real jump the
It
higher
is.
you get. Like you got to be a great fighter to win the title at 47 and then win it at 60. Think about all the dudes in history who's ever won. I know you say you're not a historian.
I know
but
Ray Robinson, though, right?
you gotta be
47 and
special.
60.
Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran. Only special fighters have made that jump because it's different body mass. It's different than 118 and 122 or 122 and 126.
So what do you
it's
think?
A little different.
What do you think of Canelo's
He's
run
special.
from 54 to 70?
He's special. People don't like Canelo, but he's special. I'm just telling you, he is. He's a special fighter. He got big heart, big chin, major skills. He's strong as hell. He very, very relaxed in the ring. He ain't perfect. It's things you could do to him, but anybody can't beat him.
What was your thoughts on the Triple G3 fight before he lost? Because that was.
You mean Triple G2?
No. I'm saying they already had announced the third fight before the Bivol fight. So like us on the show here, we were like, man, we don't want to see that because this was before he lost. Like, yo, we don't want to see that. Like, he's been on a tear, and Triple G ain't the Triple G of old. Now that that he's lost, it's a little different. I'm just curious on how you see that fight now.
Obviously, when you lose, he had a bad night. And now maybe he had a bad night because
I don't know. Bad game plan.
Well, let me finish. Maybe he had a bad night because he had a bad night, or maybe he had a bad night because of Bivol. Bivol kicked his butt. Why? We find out over time. Sometimes you just have an off day. Sometimes things are not clicking. Sometimes it's the other guy. We're gonna figure it out. Maybe 175 was too much for him against an elite level guy like that, because you could tell it was a big size difference. But it wasn't all size. Bivol beat him up. Personally, I think Triple G's a little old. That's just my personal opinion. I love Triple G. I wish him and Jonathan Banks the best. He's 40 years old. When you're 40 years old, you got his kind of style. You got almost 400 amateur fights. He's not like super tall or athletic for the weight. And he's clean. He presumably clean. He's one of the guys that's always asking about VADA, so you're not doing nothing. I think it's a tough assignment. I think Canelo probably is going to hurt him.
No stoppage this time?
I think he's going to stop him. Unfortunately, I think Triple G got a great chin. I just don't. It takes him too long to warm up now. I watched this fight versus the Japanese champion. And he stopped him and beat him up. But if you notice, it took him so long to get cooking. And that's what happens when you get old. Your body don't warm up the same kind of way. You know what I mean? It's little teeny thing. I'm 46 now, man. You know what I mean? I used to be able to go outside and just play ball without warming up. Now I got to be careful. You know what I mean?
You stretching the night before.
Yeah, it's little things that you got to do, man. I'm an active trainer in the gym. I'm not lazy. I got to do yoga. I got to stretch out. I got to keep my weight down. My weight go down in camp. You just can't do the same shit that you used to do at the same pace. So, unfortunately, man, I just think Triple G going to get hurt. And I hope I'm wrong.
Oh, wow.
I do. I think he going to get stopped. Canelo know how to fight him now. Canelo don't run from him no more. He stay right there because he know he got the hand speed advantage. He figured it out from the first fight to the second fight. Triple G is strong, but he can't get off like Canelo can. And I think Canelo going to hurt him, unfortunately.
How much, if any, do you believe the move to 68 will affect Gennady in this fight, because he has spent his career at 60?
I think it only can help him because
less weight to cut.
it's less weight to cut. He right, man. These guys be cutting weight.
And at that age,
You got it. Your
Jeez.
metabolism slows down, right? So here's what's happening. These guys be running all these miles and cutting all of this weight. They can't tell you this, but they testosterone be getting messed up because you keep losing blood, you losing everything, and you losing minerals in your body. So if you take a fighter's testosterone at 20, then you take it at 35, if he's not on no type of PEDs, you taking his testosterone looks like he a 50-year-old man because he done cut weight 40 times in his career. He done cut 25 pounds and he losing so much. So a lot of times the last few pounds, it ain't nothing but water anyway. And you cutting weight and you taking water out of your organs, right? From your brain, your kidneys, and all that kind of stuff. It affects your punch resistance. It's why you getting cut, because your skin don't have no nutrients and stuff in it. So it's a lot of intricate stuff to that. So when you get his age, that 168 is gonna make him feel better. He's gonna be able. You ever not eat all day? You start getting like a weird attitude.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Now imagine that working out twice a day and you done lost 30 pounds.
I just told Keyshawn Davis last night. I said, yeah, I don't talk to fighters like a week and a half out. Y'all be too moody. They cut in weight. They ain't trying to be bothered. And look.
I
Man.
think Triple G gonna feel better because of the weight, and it might make him perform a little better. I'm a Triple G fan. First of all, I really like the guy. He had my guys in camp before. He's a very nice guy. I like him, but I just feel like that he's just 40 is 40, bro.
Yeah,
it's a young man's sport, regardless of what people try to make you believe. It's a young man's sport, and you got to be careful, especially with his style. It's not like he could just play around the ring and move around the ring like Floyd do. He got to bring you to win, and that you got to be violent when you do that. And for as hard as he punched, Canelo could take his punches.
Sure can.
You know, it's that it comes down to that. Canelo got a chin. He can take his punches.
Solid one.
Yeah, both of them got great chins. But the problem is Canelo is a lot faster than he is, so he's going to be able to run him off a little more. I think it's going to be a brutal fight. I think Triple G got a lot of heart, a lot of character. He going to fight his butt off. I hope he pull it out, but I just don't think he will.
I got some from the people. James Valdez, San Antonio, Texas. If both trainers pull off the victory by the end of the year, which gets trainer of the year, Bill Haney or Derek James?
Derek James.
Why?
Man, I don't want to.
Because he did get it already.
From Derek James, Charlo won 4 belts at 154, which hasn't ever been done, if I'm not mistaken. I think Winky Wright had 3.
Yeah, that was a 3 belt.
So his accomplishments, not to diminish anything that Bill Haney does, because I think highly of Devin and his dad, but if Derek wins that, it's just a more significant historical accomplishment, because fighting Terrence Crawford and Earl, that would be 2 4-belt wins. His guys is going into what perceived as close to even fights, where Devin is fighting a guy that we already know that he can beat and is considerably more talented than. Earl's probably going to
Wasn't Devin an underdog in the first one?
No, he was the favorite. I bet on him. He was the favorite.
We did too.
Me too.
He was the favorite. I bet Devin by decision. Easiest bet ever. So
that's what I was saying for weeks till someone over here
I took the
allegedly
over.
said
Devin gonna stop him.
Yeah.
He's not
he
that
heard,
kind of fighter.
He heard something.
But I think it would be the more significant. I mean, beating Terrence Crawford, whoever wins that fight is automatically not just a Hall of Famer, but they like at a different level of greatness. You know what I mean? So if Devin was fighting an undefeated Teofimo or undefeated Tank, it would be a different conversation. But you can't take a fight for granted, but Devin is a healthy favorite to beat Kambosos. They kind of getting this rematch from slick negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask 10 people who going to win Crawford and Earl, 5 might go one way, 5 might go the other. I think Crawford is a slight favorite, but it's not significant. This is a real fight.
Yeah, they both negative money, but it's like 120, 110,
Yeah,
right?
It's tight.
It's tight.
It's a
Nah,
tight,
yeah, I
tight
mean
fight.
they're both minus money, so they're both, obviously that's how close of a
50-50,
fight.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean Devin, I think the best we saw, he was like a minus 140 maybe was like the best odds we caught for him.
When they get close to the fight, that's gonna go up to minus 300.
So
The
no,
kid just can't beat
no,
him.
that was for the first fight.
Yeah, I'm talking about the next
No,
one.
this one
No,
I think
this
he's
is
a minus
700.
800.
Yeah,
I was
because
gonna say.
he asked me if who will win. It's hard to beat a trainer of the year if you win a minus 800 fight in a fight that everybody kind of. It's not a
Especially-
foregone conclusion, but you know what I'm trying to say. Terrence has never even had a controversial fight. I tell people this. He's kind of outfought the system of boxing, where he wasn't with the big promoter at first. He had to go overseas to win his title. He don't allow himself to get robbed. He don't allow nothing to happen to him where something kind of shaky happens. Every fight of his is a conclusive victory. No matter what you say about him, he's conclusive. He either knock you out or the decision is so far and wide. Me and you ain't going back and saying, man, I could have saw it the other way. It was some swing. He don't have that. He's the only fighter, active fighter at that level with that many fights. Like even Sean versus Earl, people was like,
tight.
shit.
If
Sean
that
might have won
knockdown
that fight.
happened,
Yeah.
No,
like,
I had people calling it. If that knockdown don't happen, Sean won that fight.
yeah, listen, I might agree with that. Sean was right with him. Terrence don't have those kind of fights. You know what I mean? So
He do got that one controversial knockdown though with Kavalaskis.
but he stopped him.
He did.
That's a call. That's not an outcome.
No, for sure,
You know what I mean? So Earl pulled this fight off. That's a real win, bro. That's a historically great win if he's able to pull that off.
Are they both still in their prime, in your opinion?
Close enough to it where it's significant, where the results matter. I don't know them personally to like watch their workouts to say who slipped and who didn't, but they're close enough to it. And with Earl's performance in his last fight with Ugas, the excuse stuff is out the window now. Because if I'm Team Crawford, I'm gonna say, wait, he just looked like $1 million against Ugas. He looked like the
He
old
got the
guy.
stoppage.
He looked like the guy. Because at first Earl was kind of like boxing and being a little bit more careful against Mikey and Danny. You know, people really wasn't that pleased with his performances because he came up looking like a wrecking machine. His performances against Algieri and Lamont Peterson, he was a monster. But he turned that back against Ugas. So now it's like, okay, he's back to himself. So I think that they close enough to their prime. I never like to see a super fight with a guy 35 and 32, but they close enough to their primes where the result is significant and it's going to matter. And they still undefeated.
Casual boxing fan says, what aspects of Plant's game could you add that will make him more dangerous than he was coming off his loss?
I got to just keep Caleb being himself. You know, one thing you don't want to do is change a whole guy's handwriting. You want to add little teeny things and observe little things that you see in the gym, but you don't want to overdo it with changing the guy because, believe it or not, he's not going to respond to that. So I want Caleb to be himself. I want Caleb to the thing that I think he has to do the most is mentally. I don't want him to accept the resistance of the other fighter the way he did in the Canelo fight. And what I mean by that is like when Canelo started snowballing a little bit and he was hitting Caleb to the body, you got to find a way mentally and inside you to turn that around and keep boxing and keep doing your thing and get on the, because Canelo, we all know, got stamina issues. So it's little things right there. I don't want to get into the technical aspects of things because he do have a fight coming up. But when you are a superior boxer and you super sharp like Caleb, guys are not going to sit back and wait on you because he's sharp. He got a great jab. He got great feet. He got the speed of a freaking junior middleweight, and he's a super middleweight. So what they're going to do is they're going to hold their hands up and they're going to bring it to you because any good coach, unless you got a super elite boxer, he's going to be like, man, if you wait for that guy, he's going to pick you apart. So Caleb's mind has to be prepared that after you lose and the other good coaches around boxing, they see that blueprint on how to beat you, you have to be mentally strong enough to overcome that. Because before you lose, right, a lot of times guys just accept they lost and they don't fight as hard. But now they got hope. Now they say, man, Canelo went to his body. Canelo did this with him. Canelo did that with him. So mentally, Caleb has to be ready to deal with that. That's why I know that this fight is going to be hard, because he got to be mentally strong enough to deal with those tough moments, because fighters are human beings and they start, you start getting flashbacks. You know what I'm saying? He got to put that loss behind him and say, that was just that day. That's all. And you know what else he got to say? Anthony, you ain't Canelo. You're not. Canelo did that. That's because he did that. That don't mean you can do that. That's how you got to compartmentalize the loss and go past it. So it's more of a mental thing. The physical stuff is always little stuff that you can fine tune. But Caleb is an athletic, talented dude, man. He really is. And I'm gonna tell you something. He punched a lot harder than his record indicate. You know, he don't get a lot of knockouts because he's just a natural boxer and he don't go for it. But I catch the pads with him, man. One of my fingers is messed up. He can punch. He's a strong kid, just mentally, Ness, I just really believe I can't control what these kids do, but I really believe that they all need to get off of social media. I think that social media with this cyberbullying and all of these things that we going through, I think that seeps in your conscience when you hear people say negative, messed up stuff to you and about you all the time. If it was up to me, if I had a son that was fighting, if I could take a guy's phone When we was in training camp, I would turn his social media
So
off.
you just saying,
Man,
your
what's the fighter we visited? The trainer
Darren
took his
Cunningham.
smartphone, gave him a flip phone, and guess what? He got the win.
It's a much bigger deal than you guys realize. I'm telling you. I've been in camp with fighters, and just no lie, all night long they got notifications going off. You look at them 2, 3 in the morning, they staring at their phone, it's messing up their rest. People saying different things about them, right? Then they come to the gym, right, and they want to try new shit because some super critic that ain't spent the day in the gym with them is telling them things that they need to do.
But is that social media's fault, or is that the person using this fault? You know,
it's
like
the person using it fault. I'm not blaming social media. What I'm saying is if I could, I would take the fighter's phone away. But you're dealing with grown men with millions of dollars who got kids and girlfriends and wives and stuff, and they're not going to put their phone down. So they got to live with
But what about that idea? Switching it out.
I agree with whoever that coach was. I agree with him. But what I'm telling you is he may have the reins over that kid.
No, for sure. But what I'm saying for you, do you think, obviously Caleb is a rich man who's the boss, but do you see that you could be like, yo, Caleb, just for the purpose of this fight, take a phone, swap your phone where you can still talk to Jordan, you can still communicate, but you ain't on, they don't got no apps.
I've actually suggested that, and I've told friends and family, the closer we get to the fight, and this is my first time on the team, I want everybody to leave him alone. That's how I am. I've been around guys where somebody come in and start saying, man, this guy's a sucker for a hook. And he ain't spent the day in camp with us. You know what I mean? Or when Julian was fighting her, I never even told nobody what my game plan was going to be. Because I knew somebody was going to say, man, he can't fight that strong dude in the box like that. He going to get knocked out. I knew everybody was going to say that. So I never told nobody. We wasn't running from that motherfucker in his hometown. We wasn't going to get the decision. They was going to rob us anyway. They scored the fight closer than it was supposed to be in the first place. Julian won that fight 9-3, 8-4. They had that fight 7-5. There wasn't no 7-5 fight. So I already knew in my mind what we had to do, but I didn't tell nobody, and that's because friends and family start getting into that kind of stuff. So with Caleb, he a grown man, he married with kids. I can make my suggestions, but I just think that the critics on social media, I think it seeps into a fighter's mental and he don't talk about it. And then next thing you know, you'll have a fighter talking about all of these mental health issues going through. They're not going through mental health issues because somebody telling them they're the best. They're going through mental health issues because people are criticizing them and downing them and he can't really take it. That's why they go through
And they don't have an outlet, bro.
And they don't have an outlet.
You know, most of these kids come from, broken inner city homes. So therapy and speaking about your problems, that's not something that we are taught or that we are taught that is okay. Like, it's looked at as a vulnerability, as a weakness.
I got one kid from New York that turns his phone off. Zachary Ochoa.
I was about to say
that's
that.
my guy.
I heard he's sparring. Somebody just told us he's sparring someone else. You let him go somewhere, right?
I can't beat with him now. He's in camp with Lomachenko doing well. He's a great kid. I love that kid. He's the only kid I got that disables everything before his fight. Super focused. He ain't the most talented kid I had. Super focused. I'll train that kid for the rest of his career. I don't care how much money he make. Anything you ask him to do, he do. He turns his shit off. Tell his girl and kid, don't nobody bother me because my coach says so. That's he's the only kid I got like that. I can make the suggestion, but I'm not forcing nobody. I'm not fighting with nobody over their phone. That's at this point in my career. But I know that the critics on social media, it weakens a fighter emotionally.
Coach, I mean,
let me get these two off. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna touch on that because I just keep thinking like I did an interview with Andre Ward that led somebody to literally threaten my life in my Instagram DM, right?
Oh, wow.
But to me, it's just like
what happened?
They didn't like it was during the Wilder Fury time, and they didn't like the way I went with the interview, whatever. But my point is that we get negative comments every day, but it's on us to feed into it. It's on. Like, I know some of them.
I ain't gonna front though. That's how I got my medical card though. That's what I told the doctor. Like, I receive thousands of comments. People don't like me. Fighters don't like me. Fighters' favorite fans, they don't like me. So
rightfully
I
so
need to smoke, man. I do need to decompress. The shit get serious. Like, man, you wouldn't even, just yesterday he was playing with me, but I thought he was dead ass because I'm spending time with Devin and Bill. Ken is in there. He come out. He like, yo, Ken said you don't fuck with him now because of Devin. I'm like, what? So I had to run over there. He like, nah, I'm just playing. But really, in my 11 years, that's how it is.
Wow.
They'll hit you up like, oh, you with so-and-so? Don't come over here no more.
I get it. I get
You
that.
know, so all I'm saying is I think that's more of a discipline thing on the individual, like
For
mentally training yourself to not, pay attention, not let those comments get to you. Like for me, when I first started interviewing fighters, Caleb Plant was my first interview ever. Right? When I first started interviewing fighters, I used to read all the comments because I'm like, oh damn,
you want to see how good you are.
Yeah, this person said this person said that. At the end of the day, these motherfuckers, like you said, they don't know nothing. They sitting on their couch, and it's like I let that affect me at the time. I'm like, yo, I gotta stop reading the comments, and I stopped reading the comments
And
because if I didn't,
you know what's funny? I do a mailbag for Boxing Scene, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Every Saturday morning. I never read the comments. Because I know people are going to say stuff.
You know better.
I don't read the comments. I don't let that seep into my psyche. Every Saturday morning, I do a drink called the Daily Bread. Come out like 10:30 Eastern time. I never read the comments. Don't nobody believe me. I never, ever read the comments because I know it's going to be some racial stuff or you just with PBC or whatever. Yeah. I don't read the comments. I have fighters hit me up like, damn, dog, you picked against me in that fight. And I'm like, man, you my man, but I'm giving my honest opinion. So I get it and I understand it. See, you going with whose fault it is. I'm just telling you the outcome of what we're getting. It's the fighter's fault to goddamn pick up his phone and read the crap. But what I'm saying is it's still happening. You know what I mean? It's happening, and it's happening because they don't have the discipline to put the phone down. It's happening because they take all of that stuff in and they don't know how to filter it the right way. You know what I'm saying? And it starts to mess with their minds. That's why it's so hard to get off of a loss these days, because just imagine all the memes that you're making. I watch you box. You know that shit ain't easy, taking punches to the face. People make up funny memes over a fighter getting clipped. Bro, you can look at my social media from the time I had it. I got too much respect for the game to ever make fun of somebody to get clipped. Anybody can get knocked out in the fight. But can you imagine? I'm going to tell you something that I did. When Julian was getting ready for the Jarrett Hurd fight, I wanted to accept the fight in D.C. because that's what Jarrett wanted. That was our second title shot. So I made sure everything was right around that. Two things I didn't like. One, Ray Mancini got on Fox and started talking about how Jarrett Hurd was his favorite fighter, and he was predicting that he was going to win like 3 months before the fight. He just going to walk him down. And I'm like, man, he's putting out a biased point of view. It's okay to make a prediction, but he's an objective announcer. He's already putting out what's supposed to happen in the fight. What if it don't go according to script? I didn't like that. I said something to somebody. The second thing was somebody tagged Julian on social media of the Charlo uppercut from PBC. I'm like, y'all got a right to promote it was a great shot. Promote Charlo, but you don't tag the other fighter in it. And we all work for the same company. I went off. I'm like, he gonna get it in his notifications. Why he gotta see that? Y'all could just put it up without tagging him. You don't tag a fighter in nothing like that. And I was protecting his mind because that was 3 years after the Charlo fight. We going on to another. I don't want him to seep into that. Now, he might say, man, it wouldn't have affected me anyway. And maybe it would, and maybe it wouldn't. But social media is absolute evil to any sports athlete who is trying to overcome any type of adversity, because it makes you overcompensate. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you start listening to all these critics. Next thing you know, you start fighting with your team on things that they should have done. Like, man, why didn't you do this? The game plan was wrong. It destroys.
Nah, it's crazy you said that. There was a college football kicker this weekend. Missed the kick, right?
Did he miss it? Because I think that made it to my timeline. I don't watch those sports, but isn't that the dude that dove?
No, bro. No, just stop, all right?
Oh,
this kicker misses the kick, right? Somebody, they're ridiculing him on the internet, not just for missing the kick, but then somebody gets his girlfriend, posts a picture on Instagram and tags him like with his girl at the game, like after the game was over. I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's crazy.
That's rough.
I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what's worse? Just seeing that you lost the game or that somebody got your girl and showed it off to the whole world and tagged you out of all things. I'm like,
It's
that's
tough, man.
It's crazy.
It's tough, you know. And fighters supposed to be tough and they supposed to be disciplined. I'm not making excuses for them. But my recommendation is about a month before your fight, disable your social media. My recommendation.
Dominic Brazil did that, but even that is bad. Remember, Dominic Brazil did that, and he had to reopen it because of the criticism. Now, how did he hear it? No clue. But after the Wilder knockout, he disappeared from Instagram.
No, but he's saying before. He's saying before.
No, I hear you, but after the knockout,
Okay, that was after.
he took it out because he knew what was to come.
But that was after the knockout. But Fury, before he knocked Wilder out, he disabled his shit. You get what I'm saying? He literally made a post out. Don't reach out to me. I'm disabling. There was no social media post from him or fight week. You would get stuff from his team, and it worked for him. So
yeah, it's not guaranteed. It don't ensure victory. But what it does is it minimizes the outside chatter. It minimizes people seeping into your emotions. It's just my opinion, but I watch it. Watch a fighter. Next time you go to the gym, Ness, sit back and watch. Fighters walk in the gym and go like this for 5 minutes and check their social media. You in the gym to work. You shouldn't even have your phone.
Man, I tell him all the time, Coach,
Watch
because
him.
he come out here. When he moved out here, it was like, oh, we got to fight it. Oh, you can't find sparring? Oh, I can help you. I'm like, bro, we in fucking Vegas. You think they can't find sparring? These motherfuckers don't want to work.
He loved telling this story. I'm about to put you on black. It's one fighter. Once you spar him, he don't like that fighter. It's one fighter that said that, and that's only one fighter that I ever said anything back to. Like, oh, you can't let me help you. Then.
No, it
you
wasn't,
act like
bro.
I run around telling
Countless.
everybody.
How long you been out here?
Stunting, man.
How long you been?
March.
Okay, because you was up in because we did a couple interviews. You was okay.
Yeah.
You was
I
up
was
our
in
way.
the tri-state area. Then I moved to Florida for a year, and I got this opportunity.
Oh, okay, cool. Congrats on that. That's
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah, he's stunting, man.
You got
One fighter.
about 45 minutes, Coach, before your workout.
Uh-oh. 2 questions then. Best Dad ever says, what do you think about the guys at 135? Who wins? Devin Haney versus Tank? Cambosos versus Cruz? From B-More to Philly. And the handshake emoji.
Cambosis versus Isaac Cruz.
And
I
Devin
would take
Tank.
Isaac Cruz. I would take Isaac Cruz over Cambosis. Devin and Tank. Let me see a little bit more of them. You know, that's a tough fight to pick right now. I would like to see a little bit more of them. Both of them have their advantages. Tank loses a little bit, too many rounds for my liking to be an elite fighter. I don't think people realize he's kind of a slow starter. He's kind of like very careful, even though he's a puncher. He got like this, like Mike Tyson persona, and he's a big puncher. But if you watch Tank's fights, he gives up a lot of early rounds collecting data. And Devin is such a good pure boxer with that good jab. He might score a lot of points. And if Tank don't clip him, I could see Devin winning the decision. But honestly, I don't know what kind of punch Devin take. He don't get hit. And Tank is a murderer.
He got hit in Linares, and you've seen the effect.
Yeah,
and
so,
Linares is older than Tank.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's a tough fight. I can't really say right now. I've got to see a little bit more of them.
Staying on Tank, because I wanted to talk about that since you said, punchers usually fall in love with their power. I was going to say he's kind of one of those guys that doesn't. Like, he showed us in that Rolly and Cruz fight.
He's
even Gamboa, like, that took 12 rounds, and he had this box.
He has exceptional patience. His personality and a lot of the things he do outside of the ring is kind of an enigma the way he is inside the ring. Because inside the ring, he's very, very disciplined. He's very patient. He waits for his shots. He's an enigma. And he's clutch. He always hits you with that money shot. I'm a lot higher on Tank than most people because, you know, they say the matchmaking and the favoritism that he get or whatever. But from a talent point of view, that kid can really, really fight. And he got a two-fisted attack. Everybody think it's just the left hand, but he got a really good right uppercut and right hook. Tank's a hell of a fighter, man. I'm high on him.
Yeah, me too. I think that the last one is coming from Jazz, who says, we see the explosive fighters lose steam as rounds go by. Tony Harrison is one-track pace kind of fighter who controls the fight with his jab. Do you think Alicia, who isn't as tight defensively as Tony, will struggle late with Mare? Funny he using Tony as an example because Tony, to me, notoriously gets tired.
You know what?
He looked great in the Sergio Garcia fight, but Come on, man. Willie Nelson, gas.
He showed some gas tank
Charlo,
issues.
gas.
I
Both
think,
fights.
I think that fighters burn out for a couple of reasons, but I'll address the reason that he talked about. We draw our energy from different sources, right? So like your sprint energy, if you sprint 100 meters, you know what I mean? You're not like, it's different from being tired from running 5 miles, because your 100 meters, that's anaerobic. So when you run 5 miles, that's aerobic. So I'm getting a little deep, but we draw our energies from different places. So I'm going to give you a good example. A fighter like Andre Berto, he's a fast twitch fighter. So everything he does is, ha, ha, ha. Then he needs recovery. He got to get himself together because he's burnt too much energy. He don't have the endurance muscles, so you can burn him out. If you ever notice his career, he's like that. So fighters draw their energy from different places. That's why you got to do your sprints and you got to do your long distance. You got to build up both of them. And a lot of, I hate to say it, but a lot of black fighters, they blessed with a lot of speed and athleticism, but they burn out because when you fight and you punch hard like that, it gets you like fatigued. Where the Mexican fighters, they may not be athletic, but they got more of a steady pace. So you got to know what you're doing as far as building both of them up. I don't know Alicia Baumgartner well enough. I haven't seen enough of her fights, but I'm telling you, I'm really impressed from what I've seen. She has really good balance. She's really strong. She throws her punches the correct way. She don't close her eyes when she punch. I'm really shocked that she's such an underdog in this fight. When I look at her and the other girl, I don't know who's better, because I don't like to make a prediction on the fight unless I've seen somebody fight at least 3 times so you can get like a good baseline of them. But Alicia's the more talented fighter. When I watch, yes. Yeah.
And what, from a technical standpoint? Like, you think the mechanics?
From what God gave her, like a more talented athleticism, she's more talented, Ness. Watch that girl. Watch her balance. Watch how she punch. Watch how her quick hand release is. I'm talking about God.
Listen, I bet on her twice, but for this fight, but I'm very fearful of Michaela Mayer's activity, height, and reach.
Listen, that's why I'm saying I don't know enough about both. All I saw Michaela Mayer fight once, and I saw
Hamadouche fight.
Yes, which was a war.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Alicia knock the girl out. And then I saw her last fight. So I don't have enough data on either one of them. But when I watched them move around the ring, to me, that's like an even fight.
When you say move around the ring, you talking about a fight you watched or training footage?
Move around the ring, training footage and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, this girl's talented. One time I said something on Twitter. I told Tony, me and Tony cool. I'm like, bro, you doing a good job with her, man. She got a good balance. She throw her right hand the right way. You know, because a lot of girls close their eyes when they punch. People don't want to say that, but sometimes they put their head down. Alicia know how to fight. I think, man, and the other girl, she takes a lot of punches.
She do.
So I don't know, man.
So it's all about, is Alicia Power real? We go back to what you said. See, you changing my mind for 11 years. I'm like, DR, what? North Carolina, fuck that. That punching power ain't real. But now you're like, no, you still look into 14 dudes being knocked out, regardless where they from.
Yeah, man. And she's exposed to some real stuff over there in the gym out there in Detroit with Tony and them and their team. So I'm sure she's getting some good knowledge.
Danny actually went to camp.
I think they could. I think it's going to be a real fight. I do. I don't look at the other girl as this overwhelming favorite the way everybody else. I saw that everybody's picking Mayer. From what my eyes tell me, Mayer might be a little bit more experienced. She has a higher pedigree. She's with Top Rank, so that's a machine behind you. But just strictly in the ring, it looked like a 50-50 fight to me.
So, last question. I know you got to go. I ask everybody this, because I don't know. I guess maybe because I'm tall subconsciously, I want to think that being tall makes you better. Being longer makes you better. But then you get these shorter fighters or these trainers that tell you, nah, I'd rather fight the taller guy because I could get on the inside or my guy could get on the inside. Is there a such thing as an advantage?
Yeah, it is. But some guys can get past it and some guys can't. I mean, if you were fighting, you would rather be 6 foot than 5'5". Okay. I mean, let's be honest. You would. But there's some disadvantages of being tall. Some guys stay tall, right? And they don't stay long. So they be tall, but they be right up in the air all the time. Mm-hmm. And when you right up in the air like that, Ness, you don't take a punch the same because you're not down in your legs. So you become a bigger target. Your body is a bigger target. So it's better to be long than it is tall. A kid like Demetrius Andre, somebody told him that a long time ago. He gets way down in his stance and he spreads his legs out and he sticks his arms out. So you got to fight through his arms and legs. He's really long. He ain't the tallest kid in the world, but he's long. So he understood somebody very early, or maybe just instinctively, he learned that. So obviously, yeah, it's an advantage. It's an advantage that shorter guys have. It's an advantage that taller guys have. Taller guys having the reach advantage. It's simple math. You can hit him from longer away than when he can hit you. Shorter guys have an advantage in the mid-range or in the inside because the taller guy's arms are long and gangly. One of the reasons why we fought Jarrett Hurd on the inside, because he has long, gangly arms and he can't bring his arms back in place for his defense. So if Julian was right here on the inside, he could catch and counter and hit Jarrett before Jarrett could bring his arms back on the inside. So Jarrett looks like the stronger, more physical fighter, but it was safer for us to be closer than it would be on the end of his punches where he's getting a lot of momentum. So it's a lot of things that go into that. If you're asking me who I would rather train, I would probably rather train a longer, rangier fighter. But some of the more talented guys kind of have that in-between height where they could do them both, like a Crawford or a Teofimo or like a Devin, like the freaky talented guys. Floyd's not tall or short. He's like right there in the middle where he can kind of adapt to both, to being the longer guy and boxing on the outside or being up close a little bit. Even Manny's a super talented guy with the jumping in and out on his feet. So you don't really see, sometimes you lose a little bit coordination when you're too tall. Because if you're too tall, you like a little bit gangly. Like you ever see a center in basketball, he can't handle like a guard because you become a little bit more gangly when you're kind of too tall. Mm-hmm. So they have their advantages and disadvantages. I probably would rather a guy with that middle height where he can do both. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, you don't want to be overly tall.
I know I said that was the last one, but
it's good. I got
Cassius Chaney said a while ago you was working with him. Are y'all still working together?
No.
Oh, what happened?
No.
Was it because I see he with CES, but he signed with a new promoter? Was it because he got cut? Was it y'all just ain't click?
You know what? We worked together for a couple of fights. He had the fight up in New York that he lost. He had like a lot of personal issues going on with his promoter and his manager. And I was like brought in like from the outside looking in. And it wasn't like no hard feelings on my part. Like it was just a lot of deep stuff going on with the bunny and, who's telling the truth and who's not and things like that. And I had an objective point of view. And, I just looked at it like I just didn't want to be involved in all of that. Me and him never really even had a talk. I wished him well. After he lost, I was checking on him a little bit.
So you was in the corner with him when he lost?
I was in the corner when he lost to the guy from up in New York.
Yeah. George Aries, the Dominican.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to lie. I didn't like how he fought. I didn't think he fought with enough passion. He's kind of complacent. You undefeated. You fighting in another guy's hometown. I just didn't like how he fought. He had some pre-existing issues going into the fight. But I still felt physical,
life
like
shit.
a lot of life shit, a lot of stuff that was just going on in his personal life that, that just don't trickle over to the trainer. My job is to get you ready for a fight. So he had things going on in his personal life, and then he had conflict with his managers and promoters, which had nothing to do with me. So it was like a whole lot of his people's thought like somebody made him take that fight. And I'm like, whoa, I'm the trainer. I don't make nobody take nothing. This is his career high payday. As far as I'm concerned, this is no disrespect to George Arias, but if you're taking a 50-50 fight as a 34, 35-year-old prospect, that's the guy you want. Not a big puncher, this tall.
He's short. The problem was he moves a lot.
That's fine, but that's the guy you want. You'd rather go up against him or one of these freaking 6'7" Russian Olympians that's breaking your face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the fight you want. So I'm like, that wasn't no setup fight, and I was honest. I thought he lost. I'm like, this is a close fight. You got to give a little bit more. So, he's not my enemy. I just, I checked on him a couple of times after the fight, and then I just kind of just knew without it having to be said when main events had their thing with him and then the managers was having their thing with him. I'm like, I don't even want to be part of this. Dude coming all the way down to Philly and his managers having to finance it. He not going to be doing that no more. And I didn't want to be part of it anyway because it was just too much going on. So I just kind of, without us even having to have that talk, I knew that I wasn't going to be working with him no more.
Damn. It's unfortunate. We know him pretty well here.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, he was supposed to get a fight with Mike Polite Coffee, and that never happened. So when it was
That
both
was before I was working with him.
Yeah.
I heard about that fight being made, and it was just like a lot. Like I just think he had bad trust issues with his managers and promoters. Like he felt like they was like didn't have his best interest at heart.
he definitely expressed that.
And but his managers and promoters was all on for me to work with him. So as the trainer, that's putting me in a tough situation. The managers reached out to me, Cassius reached out to me, the promoter, Kathy Duverdum, they came down to watch us work out. Like we was all in it together. And I'm like, I mean, it's like, who wants to be involved in all that kind of nonsense where they going through their stuff? You know what I mean? So it just wasn't worth it to me. It wasn't a kid that I brought up from freaking his amateur days where I had that kind of attachment to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at a certain point, you got to fight and make some money. We ain't in this to be fighting, selling no tickets. You know what I mean? That's making 10 grand. You got to fight. So I just, like, when he didn't trust them, I didn't have an issue with the managers of the pro, but they wasn't my managers and promoter. I thought the George Arias fight was a reasonable fight. Honestly, I don't know your opinion.
I thought it was good.
I don't think he's a killer. He ain't a big puncher. That's the kind of guy that you want to step up against, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But I just think that he didn't like the surroundings of the fight, and you know how that go. Fighters come up with stuff, and I'm not saying he right or wrong. It's just something I just didn't want to be part of.
Last one, I swear. Do we ever see another Sean Porter? Like that style, that intensity, all up on you. Like you knew the one thing about Porter, fight after fight, he's going to push the person across from. He's going to come in 100% in shape. Like you never doubted Porter. Can we get a style like that?
We can, but you have to have a very, very disciplined kid. And honestly, because I got so much respect for Sean as a fighter because of what he did of being a standout amateur at 165 and disciplining himself to come down to 147. Sean was like a muscular-looking running back dude as an amateur. And then discipline himself and then stay at welterweight his whole career, which is amazing. I do think we can get another Sean Porter, but I'm one of those people that believe that father trainers do work. I think you would have to get it with a father or father figure to stand over top of them and make sure they do the right thing all the time, because that style is so physically taxing. Guys don't want to get in shape enough to fight that style because he has to be bouncing and moving and doing stuff. He can't fight a relaxed fight. That's why a guy like Sean Porter, you're not going to see them fight at 38, 39 years old because their styles don't age well. They can't just lay back and box. They got to have all of that action, fighting so hard all the time. So you would have to have a father or father-like person in your life that's kind of like training you from a very early age to be able to do that, because nobody wants to expend that kind of energy. It's too physically taxing.
Sucks, man, because I think Ken might have coined the phrase, but the Porter test is going to be missed. Like, you knew if a guy was the goods, if he could last with Porter's intensity, with Porter's pressure.
Sean's a truth machine.
No, absolutely.
He is. He don't win them all, but, man, he try. He's a truth machine. I got a lot of respect for Sean, man. He's a hell of a fighter.
Except for that last fight, I feel like it was a little fishy. You being close to that family, what you think of that last fight?
I'm not close to that family.
I mean,
I know him, but I don't talk.
Yeah, I still don't talk no more?
No, I'm not enemies with him. When you say close to the family, I would know something inside. I don't really
no.
inside
I mean, you spent time with them.
Oh, okay,
You've trained with them, so you know what you're looking at. I want to assume you know what you're looking at from Sean in the ring, physically. I ain't going to say you are Ken. Ken is his father, and obviously he's going to see things in his son that you wouldn't, but, you're also a trainer that trained them. So, did you see in that moment, was it the right time to throw the towel in?
Well, let me say
because you know him.
First off, Sean is my guy. I don't want to come off like I'm not close. We see each other, we speak, but I haven't seen him in a while. Secondly, Crawford fans might not like this. I thought he was outboxing Crawford the first 8 rounds. I'm sitting there watching the fight God damn, this is the best I've ever seen Sean look. I thought he looked amazing. I thought he was doing a hell of a job. He was pivoting. I know Ken is real big on feints and pivoting. Sean looked great to me. He really did.
Well, they told him he was losing. Remember,
Okay.
they told Crawford he was losing. Remember?
Okay, yeah. So that opinion is probably the majority opinion. Crawford start coming on a little bit, start landing some shots, and start stepping it up. When he first knocked Sean down, I'm like, all right, this is a shot. 'Cause I seen Sean get knocked down before. The second one was a little right hand behind the ear, and I seen that he was a little bit hurt.
But he pounded on the floor. So it's like that's where we as fans with no experience as trainers, we disconnect. Because it's like if he's hurt, if he's tired, he's exerting, using energy, pounding on the floor in frustration.
Personally was shocked at the stoppage.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I'm not getting in the right or wrong because I don't know what they did in camp. But for the way he was performing and the way he looked that night, I was shocked. I honestly thought Sean was outboxing Terrence for the first 8 rounds.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Coach. I'm with you. I thought Sean was up. I remember watching the jumbotron going into the last round, and I literally said, and I was with the person I was with. I told them, I'm like, look, he's saying, "How am I down? I'm down." And sure enough, we ended up seeing it, but. They told Crawford, and he came out on that killer instinct that next round.
He's a murder finisher.
Turned it on like a button.
Like a button. That let me know what level he's on. But I can't say whether I would have stopped the fight. I've only stopped one fight in over 60 professional fights as a head trainer, and that was Karan Davis versus David Benavidez. And honestly, the only reason why I stopped that fight, this is the honest to God truth, was because I think Karan had already gave enough of himself to have taken that fight on 2 weeks' notice in that hostile environment, dealing with everything he was dealing with. And I didn't feel like, because he didn't want to get a stoppage loss on his record.
He fought a hell of a fight that night.
And I felt like that he didn't deserve to have to go out flat on his back just because he didn't want to have a stoppage loss on his record. I love Karan. Me and Karan got the same relationship me and Julian got. I've been training him ever since he's 18 years old. And I could not watch him get hurt just to say, man, he didn't stop me. It was the 7th round, and Benavidez was coming, and he was hitting him to the body. Karan was telling me, he don't punch like that. I just can't get my second win. And I had to stop that fight. But I didn't view Sean and Terrence like that. I thought Sean was all right. But I'm not his dad, and I don't know what happened in camp. So I don't like to get in the right or wrong. I just want to say that I was shocked to see that because I thought Sean was completely in the fight. And I feel like that's what you go back to the corner for, to get yourself together and keep working. But maybe Ken seen something, and he didn't want Sean to go out flat on his back. But Sean got weird recuperative skills like that too. If you remember, Adrian Broner dropped Sean, and he jumped right up. Earl Spence dropped him, and he jumped right up. Ugas hit him with a funny shot. So Sean can recuperate too. So I thought it caught me by surprise. I was like, damn. You know what I mean? I didn't look so much to say how wrong it was. It was just a surprise stoppage because Sean's never been stopped before, and he was really, really in that fight. And we all know he can come back. So that's more of it what it was. I don't like to say what I would do if I was another coach because everybody see things differently. Like some people might have thought I shouldn't have stopped the Karan fight. Who knows? They might criticize me, so I can't really get into that.
Absolutely.
You know, it's an instinctive call that you make.
Well, that is definitely it, and I'm getting messages from both producers that it is time. We definitely kept you forever. We're going to go ahead and end it and take a quick picture. Danny, you can head out in case there's any super chats I might need to get to, but yeah, we're going to take a quick picture with you, and we appreciate your time. Do you have any social media? Any fighters? You said a 7-0. Let us know his social media. Anybody that we should be following that you're working with?
I got a kid named Romel Cruz. He's 7-0. He'll be fighting. I got to fly home for his fight. He fights September 23rd in Philadelphia. Another kid named Iran Peterson. He's 1-0. He's fighting on the same card. Zachary Ochoa from New York. He's in camp with Lomachenko. Karan Davis and Julian Williams, my more popular guys, and Caleb Plant. So that's my stable. All
right. And your social media?
Man, what is it? Breadman Boxing is on Twitter, so that's the one I talk about boxing the most. And the Breadman is on Instagram.
Well, YouTube family, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us get to that 1 million subscribers. We're on the road to 1 million. And obviously, we have other great content on our Patreon channel. So since this video is over, head on over to our Patreon and check out all the exclusive content or right here on our YouTube members.